In 1872, thousands of immigrants from the Deep South and from Europe poured into the blackland prairie of central Texas and began growing cotton. In 1879, some 2,178,435 acres produced 805,284 bales of cotton. In 1889, census reported 3,934,525 acres, producing 1.5 million bales of cotton. Cotton planting began in the spring, cultivation occurred during the summer, and harvesting by picking by hand began in August. In 1889, the cost of cotton was 10 cents a pound. A bale of cotton weighs approximately 500 pounds, making each bale about $50. That $50 in today's money is equivalent to approximately $1,715.24. The St. Louis, Arkansas and Texas Railway Company, later referred to as the Cotton Belt, was chartered in January 29, 1886. The railway consisted of 305 miles of narrow-gauge track extending from Texarkana to Gatesville. On December 17, 1889, John Mathis and W.H.H. Harvey led a train of mule-drawn wagons laden with cotton bales from the Bates Brothers Company cotton gin on the Cowhouse Creek between Lampasas and Gatesville for sale. After conducting their business and purchasing goods for the winter, the wagon train headed back out of Gatesville on the Lampasas Road. Having passed the wagon train on the trail, Bob Wells, on his way into Gatesville, encountered Jim Leeper and Ed Powell on horseback heading west. They had a brief conversation, and Bob Wells went on his way, having become cautious of the gentlemen, who seemed to be very interested in how far away they were from the Bates Brothers team. Wells then met up with the wagon train and told them of the riders he had passed. In the Cowhouse Creek Valley below Hard Bargain Mountain, two horsemen caught up to the wagon trail and drew their weapons. This is John Mathis' story as conveyed to Dr. Baird.
I was coming home from Gatesville just after dark, and after I passed the 10-mile post, someone grabbed my mules, which were hitched to the wagon in which I was riding. The mules shied to the right and jumped from the road. Just at this time, a man stepped up to the left side of the wagon and presented a pistol and said, "Give me your money." I pulled on the line, but just then the mules broke loose from the man who was holding them. The man at the side of the wagon shot at me, the ball passing through the back of my neck. My little boy was sitting by me on the wagon seat, and I pushed him off the seat into the wagon bed. Just as I did do, I came up about even with the man who held the mules. He stepped forward, put his pistol close to me and shot me through the body. The other man fired a shot at me and missed me. I fell forward in the wagon. My mules continued to run and overtook the rest of the party, who assisted me home. I noticed the two men just before my mules were stopped, but supposed they were some of our crowd until the mules were stopped. I did not know either of the two men, but I could see that one was considerably taller than the one who grabbed my mules and also the man who shot me.
Mr. Harvey came upon the scene and whipped one of the men with his whip, causing them to shoot him in the leg. They then mounted their horses and fled. John Mathis passed away 36 hours later, leaving behind a wife and young son. Harvey eventually recovered from his injuries. The day after the attempted robbery, word got back to Bob Wills. He saw Leeper on the street in Gatesville and identified him as one of the men he spoke to the night before. Leeper also matched the description of the men that Harvey gave when he was describing the attackers. Jim Leeper told Sheriff John Lanham where to find Ed Powell. He was at a home near Turnersville. The sheriff found him there nursing wounds to the head, most likely obtained by Harvey when he whipped him the night before. The men were housed at the jail until trial. Mr. Harvey was the main witness for the prosecution. The trial, held on February 2, 1890, was well publicized and lengthy. Powell came from a well-respected family in Memphis. His mother attended to him at the jail and fought for his release. The men were found guilty and sentenced to death by hanging. The original execution date was set for August 29, 1891. The men appealed to the state and the United States Supreme Court, but each court upheld the ruling of the jury. Defense attorney J.L. Crane, hired by Powell's mother, took a visit down to Austin to appeal to Governor Hogg to stay the execution.
To J.W. Hammock, Sheriff of Coryell County, Texas. A respite of the death sentence against Ed Powell and Jim Leeper is granted, and you are commanded to delay the execution of sentence of death against them until September 29th next. Papers forwarded by mail. Acknowledge receipt of this telegram immediately. Signed, J.S. Hogg, Governor of Texas.
The county attorney, Frank Partridge, made a trip to Austin to prevent additional stays, but upon his return to Coryell County on September 22nd, he fell asleep on the train. He was awakened and realized he had missed his stop. He then jumped from the train, falling down an embankment, resulting in serious injury. Ironically, he passed away on September 29th in Waco, the same day as the hanging. The hanging was a public affair, with parents bringing their children to witness the consequences of breaking the law in hopes that they would grow up to be productive members of society.
My father took me to the hanging to show me what would happen if I was ever tempted to flaunt the law. After I saw the first man fall from the gallows, I was too sick to watch the second. I was never so sick in all my life. It made an impression on me.
This event was the last legal hanging in Coryell County. The jail that was located on 7th Street and Saunders Street was torn down and replaced with a third jail located at 6th Street and Leon Street in the early 1900s.